Dot, 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 dot. Good morning, everybody, my loveliest of lovely humans. How are you doing today? It's Monday. It is a beautiful new day. It's a wonderful day to actually start anew and start fresh. Cut yourself some slack for whatever junk you carried over from last week and move into a brand new week, a brand new mission. And I'm here to do this with you because that's what I'm doing. You see, we're going to cover a cup of gratitude real quick. I'm really excited to cover today this topic of, is it selfish or self-centered or service-centered to be on mission? Is it selfish, service-centered, or self-centered to not be on mission? We're going to touch on this topic because I do believe sometimes there's mission guilt. Sometimes I believe there's non-mission guilt. And I want to actually touch on some of the thoughts I am exploring and I have been toying with as it comes to self-centeredness, service-centeredness, selfishness, as it pertains to mission. So I'm going to cover that briefly today. Before that, we got two pieces of other news. How can you buy space? It's going to happen. You're going to be able to do it now. I'm going to tell you how. And then what's going on with Dogecoin? What is a Doge? What is a Dogecoin? And what is going on with this? We're going to cover all of that this morning in other news. But before all of that, our morning cup of gratitude. We're going to actually share what we're grateful for this morning. So in the comments, feed my soul. Tell me, please, what you are most grateful for this morning. I'll start. As I alluded to, the thing I am absolutely most grateful for this morning, I'm grateful for a lot, and I've got a mantra, and that mantra is, I am so happy and grateful and full of joy for X, Y, and Z. And I fill in the blank. I have this mantra to remind myself that being grateful, starting a morning with gratitude, starting a morning with you, starting a morning like that should fill me full of joy. So my mantra is, I'm so happy and grateful and full of joy for this morning, a fresh start. I love the fresh start every week. I love Mondays. People say TGIF. I say TGIM. Thank goodness it's Monday that I can get out here and prove to myself that I'm here for the fight. Leitra says, I'm here not only for your fantastic business insight, but also to hear you sing. Can I do backup for you, Leitra? No way, man. Don't let me do it. Don't let me do backup singing for Leitra and ruin her beautiful songs. No way, man. I appreciate that. It definitely, I love singing. Marissa knows I go through my day and I kind of sing like what I'm doing. I sing my day and it just kind of helps me stay focused in the moment. Marissa knows that about me. So thank you, Leitra. I'm here to see you hear me sing. I wish I could see your face when you see me sing a note. Anyways, I'm here for a fresh start. My cup of gratitude this morning is that I am grateful for a fresh start. You see, speaking of singing, as Leitra just pointed out, I was invited to my awesome friend James's brother's show Thursday night. And in a very rare, we said this Friday morning, in a very rare occurrence, I was out till like 11 p.m. And this was very late for me. We struggled on Friday to kind of get through the day because I'm such a morning person. I still got up at like 4:30, which was late for me, but I still got up. But like we struggled through the day and I kind of meandered. Saturday, I was like, no, I'm going to make a day of it. So I didn't rest on Saturday. We worked hard, worked into the afternoon. I took a nap, but it didn't really do anything for me. And then Sunday, I was just finally my weeble wobble. You know the top, when you spin a top and that top spins really fast and stays vertical. That's how I am with my routine. And as my top was spinning and toppled, and then yesterday I just hard crashed. And I just felt, honestly, a Monday morning confession. I felt like I was really letting the vision down. I was letting my wife down. And really, all I needed was a nap. And I slept intermittently. I could actually lay back down right now. I probably need just a whole day unplugged, no phone, no TV, just literally a Sabbath to reset my inner clock because I don't normally stay up that late. It was a blessing. It was a good show. So what I'm grateful for this morning, I'm so happy and grateful and full of joy for a fresh start where I can go out there and prove to myself and prove to my heart and my own character that I'm here to fight. I've got a good win. I've got a good focus this week, and I am a Spark Samurai, and I'm going to step into that. So that's what I'm fighting for this morning. And though I try to keep my habits up, I tanked, and that's just my morning confession. So what are you grateful for? I'm grateful, so happy and grateful and full of joy for a reset. What are you grateful for? And Leitra says she's grateful for background vocalist invite official lollipop. I don't even know what the lollipop part means, but invite me in and I'll do doo-wop in a background microphone somewhere just for Leitra Davis. Let's talk about other news. In other news today, my lovely friends, it might hit the news today if it hasn't already, that Dogecoin is now a cryptocurrency going to the moon, or they verb it by calling it mooning. So no, it's not mooning like I would have done in high school, where you're riding in a car and you drop your drawers and everyone sees that shiny moon. No, it's not that kind of mooning. No, it's when a cryptocurrency rallies in what we would know as a pump and dump. We saw this a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago with GameStop and several other cryptocurrencies. You guys caught that news cycle. Well, there is another cryptocurrency that's actually not a pump and dump, and it is actually overtly a joke currency, a farce coin called Dogecoin. And Dogecoin, you might see, has the little Shibu puppy dog as its icon. The meme, yes, it's based on the meme. And this Dogecoin at one point was being sold for, let's see here, tenths, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, for less than 1/10,000th of an American coin or American dollar per Dogecoin. As of today, it's actually up at 8 cents per Dogecoin. Yes, I myself owns just around 1,000 of these, and I've had them for a while. And yes, there are legitimately Dogecoin millionaires out there. They exist, but they're smarter than the GameStop people because they're being low key and they're letting the Dogecoin run and they're selling. Now, why is Dogecoin suddenly running? Is there a pump and dump scheme? Well, yes and no. You see, Papa Elon Musk is out there pumping this thing because Elon himself is the master of memes. If you follow Elon Musk's Twitter feed at all, you know that he is a frequent user of memes. And Dogecoin is an actual cryptocurrency coin that is actually used for transactions, and it is held by millionaires. But it itself is a meme. So Elon Musk is playing with this meme, and Elon also wants to disrupt the financial system, which is why he started PayPal. I don't know if people realize this, but Elon started his own basically alternate financial system because he was trying to disrupt the financial system. So of course he's going to jump on a meme and pump it. Here's my 2 cents. Don't buy this today. This is rallying. Don't get sucked into the hype. Is it going to go to the moon? I don't know. But do not despise your good principles that keep you safe. There are several good principles out there. One of those principles is buy low, sell high. So you thought, well, some people have owned this at 1/10,000th of a dollar per crypto, and now it's at 8 cents. Those people are millionaires. Yes, they are. There were actual GameStop millionaires, but if you buy in now, you're getting sucked into the hype. Here's what I'm going to do and what I did. I watched it run to an all-time high. I watched it pull back by half, and I bought up a ton of them, and then I watched it rally again. Are we Dogecoin millionaires? Not by a long shot. I wouldn't even say we're Dogecoin 10,000aires. But if you want to get involved in a crypto, and Leitra says, I'm a Star Trek girl. I think I'll pass on Dogecoin, though. Yeah, to the moon, man. Yeah, pass on Dogecoin. Don't pay attention to it. I would recommend you pay attention to Bitcoin. I would recommend you pay attention to Ethereum. I would recommend you pay attention to one called Polkadot, which is another basically crypto app or blockchain app. And by pay attention to, I mean this. If you have $10,000 to invest, you're going to find ways to hedge. You're going to throw some of your money at high risk, some of your money at medium risk, and a lot of your money at low risk. Marissa and I put our money in index funds. That's our low risk. We put it in real estate. That's our low risk. But we have like a 1 to 7% of our investments always going towards risky potential investments. So we do this and we use some of this as a hedge with Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm not recommending you do that per se, but I'm just sharing what we do. So every time Bitcoin tanks, we buy a little more. Every time it goes up, we sit on it. Why is that? Because you have to report your cryptocurrency sales just like you have to report your stock sales, which I actually just found out last week. And so you have to report this, so you have to pay on capital gains. So if any of this does go to the moon, you're very rarely are going to get your silver bullet, cash out, crypto millionaire. But I do recommend you pay attention because I do believe cryptocurrency will, in some way, shape, or form, whether it's the American dollar or some other currency, I do believe blockchain will be our future currency. That's it for Dogecoin news. Let's move on to maybe something a little funner. Space for sale. Is space for sale? You bet your booty. Space is absolutely for sale, specifically on Christie's auction. That is right. There's going to be a Christie's auction here coming up where they're actually selling rather intriguing chunks of, hold on. Oh, space. There we go. There we go. Chunks of space for sale. And some of them are going for as affordable as $250 per piece. And what this is this. It's called, the Christie's auction is called Deep Impact, Martian, Lunar, and Other Rare Meteorites. And a fun fact on this, meteorites and the material, the actual gross weight of meteorite material we have collected on this planet is less than the annual amount of gold put out in annual output and extraction every single year. It's actually a very limited amount of meteorite material, which means it's rare. And of course, some of the organizations that have been accumulating this material for experimentation are obviously looking for multiple ways to continue to fund science. So they're making available some of these pieces of space to people for auction. These can run between, as I said, on the low end, $250 a piece, on up to $80,000 in value per unit, and going to be auctioned off, so it'll probably be sold for much more than that. Some of these pieces contain 7 billion-year-old stardust. Some of these are just simply space gems encased in iron, but have traveled through space. One of them is the 4th largest slice of the moon. That's right. And one of them, the one I'm most intrigued in because it looks so awesome, is a Martian rock that's like a meteor, that's like an iron ore of some kind, and it's encased in a solid sort of amber of Martian dust, and it's basically this gorgeous metal in orange encased piece. Here, I'll drop you the link. Boom, boom. You see, the more we push into space, there you are in the comment. You can see the thumbnail there. The thumbnail has my Martian piece of space rock with orange and metal in it. It looks gorgeous. It's just intriguing to know that we will very soon become travelers in space by necessity, but because we're enabled through all that's going on technologically. I am intrigued with space. If you haven't picked it up lately, I recommend you make it a habit to go outside and stand up and look at the sky. Not only are we going there, but that's also where I go to remind myself that I'm very small in a very big universe with a very big divinity going through us far beyond to the outer reaches of this universe. It's much bigger than we can imagine. And this auction helps remind us that you too can touch a piece of it and maybe even observe what's going on in space. Thanks for the like, Clark. I hope you're doing great this morning. That's my little brother, man. I'm so proud of what my little brother and his wife have done with their family and have raised their family to be awesome people. And I wish to God I could see them adding to my cup of gratitude that Clark dropped by to see the show this morning. Hope you guys are doing fantastic. I love you. I miss you. Can't wait to hang out in North Carolina this year. Let's talk about, is mission selfish, self-centered? Is it service-centered? And when is it okay to be selfish? Let's talk about it. So check this out. In an effort to continuously serve my brethren, for those of you who know me, you know I'm a fringe guy. I kind of operate on the fringe. It's my safe space. And by that, I have been a fringe person from my Christian roots for a long time. So I've ended up joining a lot of Facebook groups, one of them specifically a Christian men's accountability group. It's got about 5,000 members in it. And I wanted to join this group to learn more about, what are modern Christian men talking about? So I joined this group and I lurked for a little bit. And some of the issues that some of the new people in the group brought up were everything from dealing with issues of lust or porn to how to deal with their girlfriend's family. And to a person, the number one response was religious. And quite often they brought up the word selfish. You're being selfish. And this really jarred me a little bit, because if anyone joins your faith group, whether you're my awesome friend Sammer and some of his Palestinian roots, if someone came to Sammer for his Palestinian roots and wanted to learn more, for him to jump on them and start being condemning, that just doesn't help anyone. And so I was kind of appalled and put back by that. But I did begin to ponder my thoughts about selfishness because I have been having a shifting idea of selfishness. But let's talk and zero into something I've even been teaching as it comes to mission. And one of these concepts is the quote from, I forget the gentleman's name for the moment, but the quote is, don't go out and find what the world needs and meet it. And instead, go out and find what makes you alive. Because what the world needs is people who are alive. And I wholeheartedly believe in this. I believe that, and Marissa was correcting me this weekend on this, Grant, you're just too market-oriented. Why don't you ask yourself? We were just having an intimate conversation. And she said, you're too market-oriented. Why don't you ask yourself what it is you really want? And I've been torn with this primarily because, let me show you this. This book is really rocking me, as I've shared several times. I'm reading it, and I'm reading it slow. And my mother sent me this book, The Road to Character. It's a fantastic book. And it tells stories of what I would call early 1900 heroes, not of faith, but heroes of character, people that operated with a high moral fiber, a high character. And one of the things this person calls out is that in a previous generation, and he's not critiquing any particular age bracket, not Gen Xers, not millennials. He's not doing that. He's just comparing how yesterday we had the Super Bowl and someone runs 1 yard and fist pumps and shows how awesome am I to the world. Whereas he contrasted that to when we won World War II and the humility and somber humility of people who said, hey, man, I'm just grateful that we're all here now, and let's toast those who are no longer here. And they won a world war. And when you contrast these two scenarios of the self-aggrandizing sort of, hey, fist pump, look at me, we did something, when you moved a football from one location to the next for no reason other than pure entertainment and Nike sales. When we contrast these two things and we ask ourselves, hey, let's not dog that, because there is something to professional sports that we don't want to dog. There is something unifying culturally for us. Let's not dog that. That's fine. But let's call out what is going on here from a character perspective. So the author of this book that I just shared, The Road to Character, calls out that mission, cause, was never about soul searching as much as need meeting. To a sacrificial degree, to look at the world and then from that perspective, then turn inward and let the demand of the world hammer your character and make you ask questions like, am I being too selfish? How can I give more? How can I serve more? And so this quote, don't go out and find what the world needs, find out what makes you alive. Because what the world needs is people who are alive. It is almost like a Zen koan, a mantra statement that could be paradoxical. Don't go out and find what the world needs, find what makes you alive. That's selfish and self-centered. Because what the world needs is people who are alive. Oh, that's insightful. If you do start with what the world needs, you'd find that the world doesn't need Grant, Mr. White Male, to show up and drop rice in Haiti necessarily. Though some individuals might, what they really need is someone who's on fire to serve, on fire to put their self aside and make a difference. That dilemma has been plaguing my mind as I think about mission, as I explore this topic of mission, not missions, not Christian missions, not dogma delivering missions, not religious missions, but the idea in sense and feeling of purpose in the thing you put your hand to. I've been exploring this thought now for a week, if you've been paying attention to the show. And as I explore this, I've noticed that there are paradoxes in the advice. There's paradoxes in this quote. So how do I reconcile this? There's paradoxes in this Christian men's group where they say, come for accountability, come for transparency, but please let me browbeat you with my religion. And for you to get vulnerable about your selfishness, you're wrong. So I'm trying to reconcile some of this in order to make room for a pure sense of mission. So here's what I want to call out. Something that I've realized is fact for me. You may agree, you may disagree. And we'll shake hands as friends no matter where you stand on this. But I present for your consideration, self-centeredness is bad. I present for your consideration, service-centeredness is good. And I present for your consideration, neither would be possible if we don't first admit and welcome a fact of human nature. And the fact of human nature is that we're just selfish. Hear me out. Nearly every course of action, whether service-oriented, that's good, or self-centered, that's bad. Regardless, action begins when we admit that we are selfish. Okay, so let's unpack this briefly. Quite often I see in these men's groups, these Christian men's groups, that being selfish is bad. But they don't distinguish the difference between being selfish and being self-centered. And the challenge here is this. If we all seek to eradicate selfishness from our life, we have what I call a fool's errand. We're trying to fix something that can't be fixed. A lot of the message in these Christian men's groups is to be perfected before you enter a mission. I don't know if you've ever tried to not be sinful. I don't know if you've ever tried to always be good, always. And there's an unconscious striving for perfection in this thing. I think a long time ago, I admitted that I would never be perfected by my own effort. I can accept and fight for continued degrees of self-improvement. But I had to at some point accept that there's something about this guy that's just imperfect or sinful, if you will, or broken, or in the Buddhist traditions, has sanskaras holding me back. Flawed. And if you can accept some of that framing, you can accept that somewhere inside of me, there's a selfish protectionism. There's an individualism that will fight no matter where I'm at for identity. We had breakfast with our good friend Eli, and we were talking about identity, and he said, I don't believe in identity. And we got to talking, and I realized, well, he doesn't like the idea of identity, but you can't not believe in identity. There's some things going on in our faith circles. There's some things going on in our business circles that believe you can actually not be selfish. I didn't say self-centered. Separate out in your mind's eye the difference between being self-centered and being selfish. Selfish simply admits that nearly every motive I have is nearly inextricably tied to a craving of this body. Food, sex, shelter. Something in this body will infuse itself in nearly every motive I have. And I have to just admit that is my plight as a wounded healer. That is my, as I've called it in one of these groups, that's my Jacob's limp. It's just the limp I'm going to go through in life to always wrestle, always try to improve on this fact. And this fact is that I'll always have a degree of selfishness. It could be bad if we allow it to lead to self-centeredness. It could be good if we allow it to lead us to find what makes us alive. You see, as I seek to do things like this show, as I seek to write books, as I seek to be a speaker or a coach or a trainer, as I experiment with fulfillment, I have to first admit that these things come from a selfish motive, and that selfish motive is simply this: I want to be happy. If I let that lead me to self-centeredness, I will follow that thought with at all costs. But if I let the selfishness drive me to service orientation, I will say, I want these things to become a better person. Because mission is this, and for those who dropped off the show, you're going to miss this nugget. For those who watch us later, stick around. I believe mission, highest esoteric mission. We're not talking about religious mission. We're not talking about dogma mission. We're not talking about missionaries. We're talking about the highest soul of mission is to, I believe this, I'll say it the way Stephen Covey said it, finding your own voice in order to help others find theirs. What does that do on an anthropological level? That helps our species evolve for the next generation. We get better. So is it selfish to do personal development? 100%. And that's good if it's service-oriented. That's bad if I'm trying to get an edge over people and hold others down. This obviously, if you are a reader, you might know this comes from Ayn Rand, the author of Atlas Shrugged. This comes from her philosophy in her book called Selfishness or Pure Objectivism. It's her from philosophy, purely objectively. I will wake up and I will seek to serve my clients and my employees at the absolute best I can. Why? For a selfish motive? Selfish, yes, but not self-centered. You see, self-centeredness would say, I want all the moolah. Selfishness says, selfishness plus service-centeredness says, I've got to create stability for my employees. I've got to create stability and progress and innovation for my clients. And that sentence started with I. If I deny that there's any selfishness there, I'm just fooling myself. I want to see that happen, and I apply that to service orientation. You can wield the desires of the self, selfishness, desires of the self. You can apply those and leverage that human nature to make a difference in other people's lives. Because if you deny it, you deny that that's also the mode of your clients and your employees and those you're seeking to serve. You're denying that that is core to who they are. So I would love to see a shift in how we define selfishness. I would love to see a shift that we do put service orientation on a pedestal, because service helps us refine the self. And it turns into this reciprocal thing where I admit I'm selfish to open and bare my chest open in vulnerability to the field of service. And we let that field of service then hammer the soul that we have laid bare to improve our character. If we cannot admit we have a problem, we cannot work on that problem. But self-centeredness is the apex, the absolute horrific manifestation of a neutral selfishness. Selfishness is neutral. I have a body I need to feed. Every time I fast, I'm hammering that character. Every time I donate that money to the homeless person, I am hammering that character. Did I make an impact in their life? I don't know. But I know I made an impact in my own in hammering some self-denial. You know, there's a move in Silicon Valley to fast breakfast right to lunch. And Silicon Valley is very much popularized this, and it's denial of serotonin dumps. It's like a fasting, not just a food, but a fasting of an instant gratification. Because if you can cultivate long-term gratification, you can hammer your character to make better decisions. So they do ice baths, they do fasting, they do all of these things to hammer delay of instant gratification. Why is Silicon Valley the leader in this? Good for them. And I do this. I follow them. I follow some of these experimentations. But why are they the leaders? Why are they the vocal leaders of this? Why aren't leaders of the faith the vocal leaders of this? Why aren't the leaders of small business and small communities leading out and us shaping our character? I think it's because we have goofy wiring as we treat things like selfishness. So, and I bring this up, not to wax too philosophical, though I have for a Monday morning. I bring this up to confess something, to lay myself bare, that as I seek to find what my new mission is in this new season of life for me, and you become a fly on the wall to my experimentations and my thoughts, I talk about selfishness because there was an unreconcilable moment where I was stuck. And I was stuck with, how do I do this when I am very aware that I'm doing this for my own edification? Even in refining myself, that has its own selfish motives. I had to shape myself. And I'll get to your comment real quick, Lisa. I had to lay myself bare and admit something. I am selfish. And selfish is neutral, not bad. Self-centeredness is bad. Service-centeredness is good. Lisa Welsh jumps in and says this. Lisa Welsh jumps in and says, because they are not afraid of judgment. Absolutely. A lot of people in Silicon Valley are not afraid of judgment. They know that they are culture leaders. They know that they are leading society's zeitgeist, the influence of what we're focused on as a society. We're paying attention to these influencers. And I think a lot of people of the faith are sensing that they're losing their audience and they are afraid of judgment. Lisa, I believe your analysis is absolutely correct. They're not afraid of judgment. They know that they are the leading influencers. So challenge to people of the faith, challenge to people on mission, secular or not, challenge to community leaders. When are we going to step up and really openly analyze things without being religious, without holding on to our identities, being vulnerable with one another and educating one another, because we need to have more open conversation in order to affect the mission. And though you and I have been exploring together for like the last week, like, what exactly is mission? Lori asked a great question. How do I discover my mission? Those sorts of questions. Tactically, how do I pivot my life into mission? I want to unpack some of that. But I believe we can all agree on one thing. There's an element, a layer, and it might be a metaphor. It might be an allegory. It might just be a principle. Finding your own voice and help in order to help others find theirs is mission. And that has anthropological, societal, faithful, relational impacts in the individual, of course. But starting from that point, finding your own voice, we have to admit and be comfortable with, there is a season, not an MO, not a modus operandi, not a mode of operation, but a small season where we have to at least allow ourselves to selfishly pause and ask, what makes me alive? Because what the rest of the world needs is people who are alive. What the world needs is people who have selected a direction. That whole function comes from a admittedly, hopefully abundantly minded, selfish moment of just taking time and self-analyzing. And the goal out of that is not that you give rise to self-centeredness, but that you bloom into service-centeredness. I hope this has been helpful to you, or at least I hope this has raised interesting questions. I haven't answered these questions. I'm only raising these questions for myself in order that I start working on the answers to these. That's what's on my heart today. I hope and pray that you allow yourself the freedom and vulnerability of asking yourself these very difficult questions. What's in it for me? What do I really want out of life? What direction do I want to pick right now? And the answer could be, I don't know. I just want to start experimenting. Is that selfish? Yes. And selfishness is neutral so long as your target is service orientation. That's what I'm contending today. I hope that frees you from the self-condemnation of going, oh, I don't know if I should actually pursue what I want, because that's too selfish. No, if you make it self-centered, it's too much. But if you do some soul searching in order to discover what your integrated role is on this planet, I think you'll find that's more service-oriented than you'd give credit to. Listen, I'm going to stop. I'm going to go have coffee with my lovely wife and start this awesome day. Remember the mission today: igniting lives of explosive significance, starting with your own. Have a great